Hello, Senators. I would ask you to analyze the bill in greater detail. The way in which the federal government has chosen to change the application of the GST and the HST is very surprising. And politics has obviously won the upper hand over economic logic. If this had been a final project by students, I would have been extremely critical about its relevance, the means used to achieve the objective of the administrative burden for enterprises and the project in general. And I would say that the measure is poorly targeted if the objective is to fight the rise in the cost of living. This bill does not aim at the right people. It would have been more judicious to take another approach without changing the list of projects that would be the focus of a tax relief. As we say, an old tax is a good tax, so you shouldn't really touch it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so when you change the products that are on the list of items that are going to be subjected to tax relief, what is the most surprising to me is, in fact, the products that will be tax exempt. A number of countries around the world have been applying a tax to sweet drinks, and this bill actually creates a situation of tax relief for sodas and for chips. And then there are other things that are surprising. As a tree that looks like a Christmas tree, and how are businesses supposed to interpret that? It includes audio recordings as long as it is the reading of a book that has been printed. So how is a business going to determine that the book exists in print form before removing the tax on the recording? And there's also board games as long as they are for children under the age of 14. But again, what is a business going to do if on the game it says it's for people from 7 to 77 years old? So if the purpose was to help taxpayers, then we know that it would actually, in this case, create more relief for higher income people. Because according to the data that we get from Statistics Canada, what will happen is that when it comes to children's clothing for children under 14, for example, it's about 7% that the richer Canadians will be able to spend and will represent. And so, and if you look at restaurant meals as well, it's 3.2 times more for richer Canadians than for poorer Canadians. Then now let's talk about provinces. So provinces have accepted to take the harmonized sales tax, and now they will be losing out. Given the fiscal federalism, now we know that it should have been the case that the federal government should consult the provinces. And it is very difficult to imagine that the federal government can unilaterally decide to change the rules of the game without providing a compensation to the provinces. But now, if we look at the measures' uniformity, so far, when the federal government created time-bound measures to help give taxpayers relief, well, it applied throughout the country. But in this case, with the temporary holiday for the GST and the HST, it will be differently applied depending on the province where they live. So it's hard to justify. The holiday is 5% for certain provinces, but it goes between 13 and 15 points where in the provinces where there's a harmonized sales tax. So, and there's also this side of enterprises. The cost, the administrative cost of these changes is significant. And it's a temporary holiday. It only lasts 2 months. And they will have to change their computer system twice in a very short time period. You cannot, there's also a significant risk of errors when the changes are made, and that will lead to mistakes with the transactions, and then there could be some tax penalties because they did not administer the GST and the HST properly. Finally, the federal government has not yet given an economic update. And in some circumstances, it is acceptable to have a tax break that creates more of a deficit when it comes to climate change, for example, in order to ensure intergenerational equity. But that is not the case when it comes to tax relief for soda pop and chips. So here I would say that in 2 words that the GST, HST holiday is bad tax policy. Thank you.
Mr. Godbout, so we continue.
Mr. Godbout.